Hey guys, it's Beth. Today I'll be using these two little square hangers and this rectangle hanger, a plunger, and some wooden dice from Dollar Tree. Started by removing the hangers from the squares, taking some gel super glue from Dollar Tree, adding one of these half round beads to each corner. And the half round beads I get from Amazon. So I added them to the corner with the glue and then filled in between all of the corner beads. I just made sure to space them all out evenly and have them set before I glued them down. And I glued down 8 beads in between each corner piece. And then I removed the little hangers from the rectangle hanger. And these were all from Dollar Tree, the little hangers. And so I did the 4 corners and then again filling in between those. And I did 15 beads on the side and then 12 on the shorter sides. And then I painted all 3 of these pieces entirely with plaster chalk paint, doing 2 coats on everything except for the center of these smaller hangers, just 1 coat on those. And I just sprayed a little bit of water on there to make the paint spread a little easier so it didn't clump up on me. Next, I moved on to the plunger handle. This is also from Dollar Tree, and I cut it into 2 pieces, 5.5 inches and 9.5 inches, making sure that I cut off both ends. After they were cut down, I sanded off both ends and then painted that with pewter gray acrylic paint. I did 2 coats on both of those pieces and the 4 wooden dice from Dollar Tree. Next, I made a marking at the center point of the little square hangers. And then I put my plunger handle and my square hanger down in the other dowel just to get markings where I'm going to be wanting my top trays to go. Then I took a drill bit and just drilled a hole through those markings. And then again on the markings I made on the square hangers. And then I used the same drill bit and made holes in both ends of the pieces of plunger. And then I took some screws, and on the larger hanger, the rectangle one, I put the screws in those holes I made from the bottom of it to the top. So the back of the hanger to the top. So those screws are sticking through on the top here. I put some Gorilla Grip glue on those and placed my dowels down and screwed them on to the screw. Next, for the smaller hangers, the square ones, I put the screw from the top down through the bottom. So the screw piece is sticking out through the bottom of those. And then I had measured the center of the little square hangers, and it was 5.5 by 5.5. And I took this fabric, which is also from Dollar Tree, and measured out 5.5 inch little squares and cut those both out. I did use a Sharpie so I could see the mark on the fabric, but then I just made sure to cut inside my Sharpie marks. Next, I just used the little wooden dice to put these signs on because the screw's sticking on the back. So I just placed them down, added a layer of Mod Podge in the center, and then placed down my fabric and smoothed it out with my hands. Now I do have to use this screw piece again to tighten it, so it would be better if you do the fabric on these pieces after you have them screwed down onto the dowels. But for video purposes, it was easier for me to do it before I attach them. So if you make one of these, I would suggest doing the fabric after the screw is tightened onto the dowel. I used my heating tool to dry that layer of Mod Podge under the fabric, and then did an outer layer of Mod Podge on both pieces and used my heating tool to dry that. Next, I took my larger hanger, the bottom of my tray, flipped it on its side, and then put some Gorilla Grip glue and hot glue on each of the little wooden dice and glued them to the bottom of the tray, one in each corner. And here I realized the screws from the bottom were sticking out a bit, so I just took a screwdriver and tightened those into the dowels. Next, I put some Gorilla Grip glue on the ends of the screws on the square signs, and then screwed those screws into the dowels. And this is where, when you're screwing them into the dowels, the screw will come loose and push out a little, so I need to tighten it back in. So I do end up having to make a little slit in the fabric, so it is definitely better to do the fabric after they're on here. So here I just make a little slit where the hole of the screw is, and then just use a screwdriver to tighten that. And then the last thing I do is do the same exact thing with the other little tray. And that is it for this project. I'm so happy with how it turned out. Thank you guys so much for watching.